Unexpected MLB teams that became champions. Back in 2003, the Florida Marlins were a team that almost nobody expected to make any noise, let alone win a championship, because they had one of the lowest payrolls in all of baseball, and their roster was mostly made up of rookies, young prospects, and players that other teams had already given up on. At the start of the season, they were not only struggling to win games, but they were also dealing with a manager change as they fired their old manager after a rough start and brought in Jack McKeon, who was 72 years old and had not managed in a while. But what happened after these events is something that not many people expected at all. You see, after McKeon took over, the Marlins started to play with a totally different energy, and suddenly their young players like Dontrelle Willis, who was just a rookie with a wild pitching style, and Miguel Cabrera, who was only 20 years old and had just been called up, started making a huge impact. Meanwhile, they had veterans like Ivan Rodriguez, who had signed just a one-year deal and was looking to prove he still had it, and Juan Pierre, who was always getting on base and stealing bases like crazy. So the team started to win a lot more games and actually snuck into the playoffs as a wild card. But the way they handled the playoffs is where things get absolutely wild. The thing is, the Marlins had to face some of the best teams in baseball, and nobody gave them a real chance, but they shocked everyone by beating the San Francisco Giants in the first round. And then they went up against the Chicago Cubs in the National League Championship Series, where they actually fell behind 3-1, so it looked like their run was about to end. However, in Game 6, something totally unexpected happened when a Cubs fan reached out and interfered with a foul ball, which helped the Marlins rally for a huge comeback, and then they won Game 7 to make it all the way to the World Series. But what happened in the World Series against the Yankees is probably the most unbelievable part of this whole story. As it turns out, the Yankees were basically a baseball super team with the highest payroll in the league and a roster full of legends, so almost everyone thought the Marlins were just happy to be there. But the Marlins played with zero fear, and their young ace Josh Beckett pitched out of his mind, especially in the final game where he threw a complete game shutout in Yankee Stadium, which shocked the entire baseball world and made the Marlins champions despite all odds.